I don't know if Franny, if you wanted to kind of lead today's meeting. We mostly have trainings happening with Corp Council going over permitted interactions to help clarify the use of subcommittees and their permitted and all that and how it's allowed under sunshine. So I don't know, Fran, if you want to kick us off with any other announcements, or if we just, everybody's okay with the agenda as is.
I can already ask you.
I think I'm okay with the agenda as is. Is everybody else?
Yeah, I was able to get a copy. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Oops. Okay. Fran, feel free to call the meeting to order and do roll call and all of that.
Okay, it's been a while, so remember the.
Yeah.
I will call this meeting of the Puna CDP Action Committee to order at 4:07 p.m. today, Monday, December 11th, and it looks like we have a quorum. I'm gonna start roll call with me. I'm Franny Brewer, and I am at home in Mountain View, and I have no one in the house with me. So I guess Susie, it goes to you.
Aloha, Susie Osborne, what we know in KL. Well, it's actually not KL. Hola.
Aloha, Kanoe Wilson, also here at the Ola Resource Center, Mamasko's Resource Center. Hello.
Jennifer Sheffel, also here in the Resource Center.
Go ahead, Lei.
Aloha, Lady Mello. Currently in Hilo, in my car, nobody around.
Aloha, Leila K. Aloha, Action Committee member here in Makuhoi Homesteads.
I'd like to introduce the rest of the planning staff. My name is Marian Palma, in case that wasn't said before, but also just to take this moment to introduce, we have Janice Hata, one of our newest planners, along with Jessica Lahip, one of also the newest planners from the community development, community planning team in the planning department.
We have some other folks on. Do you want the community members to introduce themselves, guys, or you want to wait until it's time to testify, or how do you want to handle that?
Yeah, I'm gonna testify.
Okay.
Next announcement.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna turn it over to you guys to work through the agenda. So, Kanoe, if you guys want to handle that.
I'm going to approve the minutes. May
Okay.
5th and May 5th and February 27th.
Does anybody have any comments, changes on the minutes from May? Nothing. Okay. Then I move that we accept those minutes.
Second.
I saw a nod from Lei and Layla, and I heard you say, I think you said second, Susie. So I think that's unanimous then.
Are we approving both sessions at one time?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think that was the motion.
Okay.
So still aye, everyone? Yes.
Aye.
You're okay.
Aye.
Question.
Okay.
I was only here for February 27th when there was
Okay.
a presenter. And for the public transit.
Oh, I don't even remember that. I'm sorry.
And here.
Yeah. I see there's a testimony there.
Okay, so moving along. Public comment on agenda items. Are we ready to move into that? Okay. And we have just basically some training, we have election, and then the schedule discussion. So we can start with whoever's on here. We have, well, Zoe, I don't know, Zoe, are you here to testify or just to observe?
Observe.
Okay.
Thanks.
Then we have Thunderfoot. Oh, I've talked to Thunderfoot. Hi, Thunderfoot. And we have Miley, but Thunderfoot came in first. So Thunderfoot, did you have an agenda item that you wanted to comment on?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I'm an investigative reporter for the Justice Council, and I've been doing some investigations about what's going on in the communities here. And the Puna Community Development Plan was actually developed by Bob Jacobson with the Fern Forest Community Association, having a board member sitting on the planning committee of this group. My concern is that the word development in the Puna Community Development Plan is alarming to me because we have a lot of agricultural land that is up for possible conversion to non-agricultural use. Now, this has already happened with the Ainaloa subdivision. I don't know if you folks are aware, but normally the planning department is the one that determines the zoning based on land usage. While in Ainaloa, the property tax office changed the zoning without asking members or the landowners anything, whether they agreed. They all just got letters stating that their zoning changed to residential use based on the value of their land. So I have a great concern for what is going on with the county and the constitutional, my constitutional rights to control and enjoy my properties are being violated. For example, the $11 million that was COVID and lava relief money was used to bulldoze open private subdivisions that were not affected by lava or COVID. That was a misappropriation of funds. We cannot use public funds to improve private property that benefits private property owners because the money must be used to benefit the public. I have inalienable rights to control my property. Right now, there are 7 bills or 8 in Congress to try to take away my right to control the roads. So
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. This isn't on the agenda. It can be on a future agenda should the chair committee members wish to have it on the agenda, but the testimony isn't related to a specific agenda item. And it needs to be agendized for the committee to address it.
Okay, I apologize. I just became aware of the meeting like an hour ago, so I did not have time to look at what was on your agenda, but it's extremely important because I want everyone to know that I'm actually suing the county of Hawaii and I'm in federal court right now before all of these things that I am mentioning. So if anyone would like to contact me, my phone number is 808-345-3075, and we can set up talking about this outside of this meeting if that suits you.
And I just want to state your name because I didn't catch your name in the very beginning.
Okay. My legal name is Thunderfoot. It's one word. I'm Native American. So it's just one word. So yeah, full name, one word, Thunderfoot. I had to put Thunderfoot because Zoom wants a first and last name.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, I did not name myself. That's usually the next question, or it wouldn't have the word foot in it.
All right.
So, but yeah, so I don't want to hijack your agenda or anything. I just want to let you folks know how important what you're doing is. and that all of these agricultural lots must remain agricultural because this is the breadbasket of our state. And we import 85 to 90%.
I'm going to stop you now because we have limited time. And I know we're losing at least one committee member in 15 minutes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Thunderfoot. And we'll talk to long range planning about putting that on a future agenda if that's something that the community would need to have more information about. Miley, did you have testimony on an agenda item? Oh, she's observing as well. Okay. I think that's that then. We can then move on to the actual business here. First order of business, training on permitted interaction groups and the duties and responsibilities of the CDP. And that would be you, Suzanne. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you very much for having me. And my only question is, if you're losing a committee member, would you like to take the elections out of order to address that before you lose one? I'm happy to go after you have your elections, if that would make it easier for your committee.
That would be wonderful.
I'm happy to hold off and we'll just reorder that. I'll let you address that. And when you're ready for me, let me know.
Do we have the new folks on yet? I thought we were getting some new folks on the CDP. Oh, okay. I did. Can you say your name again? Sorry.
Jennifer Scheffel.
Okay. I know we've emailed. Your name is familiar to me.
We have kind of adjacent circles. We know some of the same people.
Okay.
We actually met once.
I was gonna say, you look familiar. Yeah, Layla.
I'm sorry, I haven't met Jennifer. If she could introduce herself, that would be great.
I'm Jennifer Scheffel. I'm one of the new members of the Puna CDP Action Committee. My career is as a planner, environmental planner, and I live in Ainaloa.
Welcome aboard.
Oh.
It's time for us to do our elections. One of the things that, you know, Susie made me chair, nominated me for chair a while ago, and I would very much like to relinquish that to someone else.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we do also have two other new members that also just joined us here at the Resource Center.
That's great.
We have the public here, but we also have, I believe, Martha. Am I correct?
Yes.
Martha, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the group?
Sure.
Oh, that's Hannah. I see Hannah. Hannah's not trying to be back on the CDP, I don't think.
Yeah. Public member, sorry.
Which person are we talking to?
You're speaking to
Everybody.
You're introducing yourself to all of us.
Okay, I just was trying to get an idea of where I'm focused.
So,
Yeah,
anyway.
you could be here.
Okay,
And-
and then they're sort of able to see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Martha Morishige. I go by Marty, and I've been living here on the Big Island for 36 years, and most of the time in Orchidland Estates, but now I live in Paradise Park, and I have been on Orchidland Estates board, you know, the community board a couple of times, and I just want to help out and see if there's something I kind of see. And also I was a realtor for 14 years, so I've traveled the whole area, know all the roads, and pretty much the condition of everything too. So I'm hoping I can have some input. All right.
Welcome, Marty. Thank you for joining us. So did we have anybody else in the room there that wanted to introduce themselves? Or you guys good over there?
Yeah, I'm Hannah Hedrick, and I would like to, when you come to agenda for next meeting, I would like to ask you to consider some agenda items.
Okay. We can circle back to that. Yeah, so I think I've already gone over my supposed length of time as chair. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it seems like it's a very long time now. Those of you who know me know I have a really crazy job, and it just got crazier with the arrival of coconut rhinoceros beetle on the island. So I really need to take things a little bit off my plate. I really would like to let the chair position go to someone who has a bit more time to focus on this. So I would like to relinquish that position. Is there anybody who wants to talk about stepping into that role? The planning department has been so great in really doing a lot of the planning for these meetings, as you guys have seen. But yeah, if there could be somebody else. I'm sorry, my cat is doing something suspicious. So if I go away, it's because we have puppies that we're fostering and the cat is mad about it. So if I start screaming and run away, there's a reason. But anybody want to
nominate Kanoi Wilson for the position?
There's a deja vu happening here, Franny.
That one.
Layla.
But remember, Layla and I have been on for 7 years, so it'd be really nice to have someone in this sort of transitional, little, not brand new and not as old. Get some fresh energy.
Well, I would be honored to fill that role of being chair of the Puna CDPAC, as long as Leilani DeMello steps up to be the vice chair of the committee as well.
I second that as well.
That's exactly how it went down like 3 years ago. Yeah. The person who got nominated as chair is like, and then you are gonna be. I think that's great. I say aye. Is anybody else? Layla seconded, so I think we're good. And do you folks, you accepted, Lay, do you accept the? Okay. That was reluctant, but, and then for our 2 new members, you get a vote, aye or nay?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then so moved. And I'm not taking the notes, so I really hope someone in long range planning is taking the notes. Okay.
So the vote passes. Kanoi is the new chair, and then Lay is the new deputy. Vice chair.
Chair.
Congratulations.
Susie and I are really, we won't abandon, but we're gonna step back a little bit. Okay, I think that's it. And we can move on to the training. Thank you, Suzanne, for letting us do that.
No worries. Thank you very much. And I'll make it fairly quick. I will be reaching out to the 2 newest members later this week, if at all possible. If you have time, I'll send you an email tomorrow morning. And if you have a few minutes just to chat, that would be excellent. I also may be reaching out to several of you. We're just trying to confirm terms. I don't think we have all of the oaths of office. And so we're just following up with some folks just to confirm that we have your terms in place. A couple of thoughts. I'm going to move quickly and I'm going to spend most of our time on permitted interaction groups. But before I do permitted interaction groups that investigate, do you have any investigative pigs? And so you don't have any, is there any desire to have them or do you not need them? Because if you don't need them, what I don't want to do is to spend a lot of time on a topic that you may not need. It's basically a structure that allows 2 or more members of this committee to meet outside the context of a committee meeting and engage in an investigative process. So you don't have to follow sunshine. You work together as a team, you investigate something, you come back and report to the group as the committee as a whole. There's a somewhat formal process, but then they have the opportunity to deliberate and vote. If you don't think you're ever going to do that, I'm not going to take your time today, and instead I'll just focus on when you can talk to other board members.
We had one permanent interaction group going this past year, but it kind of fizzled out because there was a lot of shifts in personnel at planning, and we kind of lost our planning contact, but it was simply revising the building in Puna brochure. So nothing too onerous, but it was a standing permitted action interaction group.
Okay, there is actually no such thing as a standard permitted interaction group. That's why we're having this training.
I made that up.
No, but all the CDPs were, a lot of our committees were doing this, where basically it was functioning as a subcommittee, and we really can't do that. If we have a subcommittee that's continuing to meet, they have to follow sunshine. A permitted action group is allowed for a specific project. I'm going to walk through the process.
Can I get clarification then? So if we have to meet more than once, then we have to, it doesn't count, or?
No, that's a great question. And that's why we're walking through this right now. It's not that the permitted interaction group can't meet multiple times. It's that what you can't do is come back and report a status update to the committee. The minute the permitted interaction group comes back to the committee and says, this is what we've done, any kind of status update, the PIG is immediately dissolved.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So you're still allowed to do it. So I'll just walk through it briefly. We also have some new members. The committee as a whole says we want to investigate something. A number of committee members, but less than quorum, can join. So any number less than quorum can be a part of that effort, that initiative. You have to have a very specific purpose. It can't be something really broad, like we want to find out what people in Puna think about the general plan. It has to be somewhat narrow, somewhat tailored. A lot of our committees, commissions, boards, when they're creating a PIG, they create one that with a motion in mind, like where you're planning to have an action, a board action. So the PIG might, provide sort of the information you need, the underlying foundation for an action. It doesn't have to, it can be just informational, but typically it's to provide the committee with enough information to make a decision about something. So somewhat specific. So you have a first meeting where the committee as a whole, the Puna committee says we want to have a PIG. These are the members that wish to participate. Do I still have quorum? Because I've lost all the cameras.
Yes.
Okay, we have quorum present with.
All right, here, just trying to distract the cat, but I'm listening.
Okay, no worries. It's so at the first meeting, you articulate a purpose and you set the participants, and yet someone files a motion, seconds the motion, everyone agrees. Then you go off and you investigate. You can investigate for a month, 3 months, 6 months. You meet as often as you need to fully investigate the matter. When you come back to the CDP and present your report, the CDP can't then vote on it. So that would be the second meeting. It doesn't have to be the next subsequent meeting, but it is the next meeting. They come back and they say, this is what we've done. The committee at that point can't deliberate or make a decision. You have to have a third meeting. So it's a rather involved process. At the third meeting, the committee can say, okay, our PIG went out and they researched it. They did these different things. We now want to move to whatever the action is. But you can't do that at the second meeting. It has to be at the third meeting. Does that... So I think the biggest concern we had is that a lot of groups were basically just coming back and reporting, giving a status update. This is where we are. This is what we've done. And really that circumvents the intent of Sunshine, which is that those kinds of communications really belong in the committee. Like it should happen in a public fora. Does that help? I'm trying to be a little fast. I provided a lot of material in writing for you, so you have who can board members talk to when. So you have everything in writing. I just wanted to go ahead and explain it where you could also ask me questions.
So basically, the PIG, as you're calling it, they just meet enough times until they get the job done, and then they report back. There isn't like inner room status reports in the meeting. Okay,
yes.
It's just
and we received. There's new case law actually. So. Okay. Previously, there had been maybe a perception that if the status report was really brief, well, we're not quite finished, we did a couple of things, that it would be somehow okay. We've gotten some clarity around that. And basically anything other than we're not ready to report, we'd like to continue to the next meeting. Any more than that, and it's considered a report and it's dissolved.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's actually really good to know.
Okay, the other, there are other opportunities.
Lay has her hand up. She's
Oh,
had
hi.
it for a while. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Leigh, and I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to ignore you. I couldn't see the screen.
Oh, no worries. I just wanted to know, thank you for that great explanation. I didn't know that as well. Would that be something pertaining to what Thunderfoot had mentioned? Maybe if a community member brings something to our attention and we need to look into it, would that then justify creating a pig for that?
So one of the things I'd also provided, I gave you 3 handouts. Who can board members talk to when? There's 1, 2, and 3. The third, like part 3 of it, is just on the permitted interaction group. Parts 1 and 2 are a whole bunch of different examples where you can talk. So you can talk to a community person anytime. So you can talk to Thunderfoot, Fanny can talk to Thunderfoot, everybody on the group can talk to Thunderfoot or other people in the community. In fact, that's the value that you bring to this effort, is that you have this really broad, deep, rich network of community members. So you can talk to others. 2 committee members can talk to each other about board business. So for example, Leigh, you could talk to Fanny about something that's on an agenda. In the past, we had discouraged that because you're not supposed to do serial communication where you talk to Fanny, you know, A talks to B, they hang up the telephone, B then calls C and says, well, I just finished with A, blah, blah, blah. So you can't do in steps what you wouldn't be allowed to do individually. We've decided to back off the recommendation that 2 board members not talk to avoid the possibility of serial communication. We're pretty sure you're not going to do it. Most people are really conscientious and try to comply. So we're a lot less concerned about that. So if 2 board members need to talk, they can. Just be aware that we're not supposed to do serial communication. There are also a few other exceptions that allow you that multiple committee members to do something together. For example, if you're going to present to a community group, you could have 2 to 3 committee members. There's some structure around how you do that, like an informational session that isn't quite as involved as a pig. Like if you're not going to do anything other than explain, for example, the Puna general plan, you know, the Puna development plan, you could go and do that and it would not violate sunshine. But you have 3 handouts that give examples of when you can talk to each other. And I'm putting in the chat my office number because a lot of times the questions that come to you will come to you later. And I'm available anytime to answer questions. You know, later on, you'll think of a scenario and you'll say, I'm not really sure. I'm available to answer those questions and I'd be more than happy to, and my office email to assist.
In the chat, whatever.
And does anybody else have their hand up? Because I don't want to ignore. Okay. Leigh, did that help answer the questions?
Yes, thank you very much.
No worries. I'm here to help and I'm more than happy to answer. I typically will get back to you same day. So if you have questions about what's allowed, I'm more than happy to address. And thank you, Leigh. I know you have to leave.
Suzanne, I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
This is Kanoy. In regards to a permitted interaction group, does that have to be an agendized item? We have to make sure that's on the agenda whenever we're going to form a permitted interaction group.
You can have the topic on the agenda, like the topic itself should be on the agenda. You don't necessarily have to have it on the agenda that you're going to form a permitted interaction group. As long as the community as a whole knows that you're going to be talking about that issue. If while talking about the issue, you debate, should we have one, should we not have one, what's the best way to address this, you decide to have one, it's okay. They just need notice about the topics. They don't have to have a complete layout of everything you're going to do as a committee. If you know you're going to try to form one, you can put that on, you know, to consider forming one, but that doesn't preclude you from doing it. As long as the topic is on the agenda.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I went through it rapid fire and I am going to be following up individually with our new committee members. And I'm happy to follow up individually with everyone, but I also don't want to hijack your meeting. Does that help?
Yeah, that's very helpful.
The other, two other things I'll mention is I can also provide material on Robert's Rules of Order. Like I even have a cheat sheet that, you know, says, here's something you'd like to do. And then it gives you the language for it. I can also draft sample motions for you. So I can draft sample motions. If you know ahead of time that you want to do an action, someone can email me, call me, tell me the action, and I can give you sample motions. You know, a motion to approve, a motion to, you know, to recommend, a motion to draft a letter. I can help you draft those motions so that you don't lose valuable time in the meeting trying to come up with that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Susanna.
Yeah, please send that.
I like it when people call, so.
Okay, I heard you say that. Everybody heard you say that.
Okay, I will turn it back. That sounds wonderful. I will turn it back over to you. If you have any other questions, I am available. Thank you.
What's the best number to call?
I put it in the chat, 961-8251, and you have my email.
961-8251.
8251.
And do you want her email?
Suzanne, is it okay with you if we share your office line and your email and an email to the whole group after?
Yes.
I'll wait the numbers.
Suzanne. With that period between. First and last name.
L and then a period and then her last name.
L and then period.
At hawaiicounty.gov.
So that structure with the pigs is one of the factors that you consider when scheduling. I know at least one of our committee groups is struggling because they have quarterly meetings, and their concern was they wouldn't be able to have any actions, you know, in less than 9 months. But the reality is you don't have to have a pig to act. You just need a pig if you're working outside of this structure.
Yeah, I see.
You have multiple committee members working together. You know, that the pig deadlines, timeframes, that 3-month structure or 3-meeting structure, it doesn't apply to actions, board actions. Okay, and I have nothing else unless there are more questions.
I guess I just have a question. How does this apply, or does it apply to at all to the RCA work that we're doing in Puna? Has that been considered, discussed already?
It has not. Can you talk to me a little bit about RCA, which is why I was asking about if you had any active groups. Is that the separate community group that comes and reports to you? They're not.
That's the, oh my gosh, Zoe, can you step in here and sort of give the elevator speech about what the RCAs are overall?
Boards.
Yes, the RCAs are community and county worker volunteer group. It's entirely on a volunteer basis. It doesn't operate under any rules or regulations other than what's been created, just so that we can move forward. The purpose is to organize volunteer efforts and other nonprofits in the area around their recovery initiatives and resilience projects. It's led by the Disaster Recovery Division, which lives inside the county planning department. So it's entirely self-organized. I myself am the coordinator, and I'm funded by a USDA federal grant, and as is our work. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
That does map with what I had been briefed on about a year ago. That doesn't pose, that structure that I just heard does not pose any issues for Sunshine because it's separate from this committee. It informs, like their work informs your analysis. You certainly look to them as one of the many different community partners who's doing incredibly vital work in Puna, but there's no Sunshine violation because it's a separate group. Are all of you participating? Are the committee members of CDP participating in it?
Yeah. Yes. We're chairs. Some of us are chairs or co-chairs of RCA groups.
I might call you individually and then just walk through what some of that looks like. Just I know at least one committee, one of our committees, they're looking at having people who roll off the board take the lead on some of those initiatives, because if you're not on the committee, then there's no longer a sunshine issue. The only sunshine is if you're current. Like if you're currently basically running 2 identical groups, if your group, you know, if this others emerged out of yours, but it really doesn't sound like it emerged from this. It's a completely separate initiative that you
didn't emerge. Yeah, it definitely didn't emerge from this. It emerged from the recovery process. It's just that we all happen to be like super involved Puna people. So we got involved in both things because of just who we are. And then now we're like, oh, does that, you know, kind of wondered, is that an issue? Because we talk to each other, but we're talking to each other not about CDP business, but about RCA business, which is usually very focused on a single.
You know, based on what I did a year ago, when I did look at this, it wasn't a conflict because and I am going to follow up with you individually to make sure I didn't overlook and make a mistake there, but it's somewhat separate and the board agenda items aren't the same. Like they're not looking at the general.
Yeah, we're actually not. Yeah, we're not official boards or commissions with the AC work. So I can't see there'd be a problem.
You're saying RCA is not a board?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a group that you're participating in, and we're lucky that you're participating. You're volunteering and supporting the community. And there is the opportunity for that informational meeting. I'll go ahead and clarify what I think the question is. I'll put it in writing and send it back to you so you have it as a communication for your next meeting. And then you can take a look at it and see if there's any outstanding questions or concerns. Thank you for raising that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Susanna? Well, we appreciate your time, Susanna, and that was very clarifying and helpful. So I think this sunshine law thing is always very muddled for us community folks. So really appreciate you being here to talk about that. And if there's nothing else, then we can move on to business agenda item number 3, which is the committee meeting schedule discussion, which was a discussion of setting this up for 2024. Anybody want to talk about that? Layla, you're kind of doing a thing, but I can't tell you raising your hand about it.
I just wanted to find out what Hannah wanted to give testimony on. Was it one of those 3? Because there's only 3 items.
This one. It was this item. She wanted to give testimony on the schedule.
Okay, perfect.
On the agenda, your next agenda, for the next agenda meeting.
Okay.
I also have some comments on your last minutes. I attended February.
Well, let's just see, was long range planning suggesting that we set all of our meeting dates now, or that we figure out a process? I know that this was one that they added. So just trying to figure out if planning folks had something they were proposing for how we can better, because I know one of the issues that we have is trying to get everybody to have a program, and then we'll talk about what actually goes on the agenda for the next meeting. But I feel like they wanted to set a set schedule. Is that what you guys wanted to do?
Yeah, thanks, Franny. We're looking at all the ACs and we're hoping to get 2024 kind of all mapped out. You know, there's some room for here and there that happens, but as a whole, we're just kind of hoping to have a set cadence so that these meetings can get kind of put on the calendars and even publicly. So there's more notice, as opposed to a week or 2 before the meeting date. And it hopefully will help with quorum and attendance and all these other items. With that, just to highlight that we're being requested to have agenda items 2 weeks before the meeting ready, sent to Corp Council at the latest, right? More time, the better. It takes us time for logistics such as venue, technology, hybrid, in-person, kind of all of those things are kind of what we were hoping to fine tune with you guys at this moment. I know we're still, we have some vacancies and we'll see how that will change and, as we fill those spots, but just to kind of get something started so we can put it in the calendar.
Are the other ACs meeting monthly at this time, or what is the?
Right. Yeah. So going through the ACs, Hamakua is the only AC currently meeting monthly. Kona is meeting every 2 months. South Kohala, they're trying to do quarterly, I believe. North Kohala is technically inactive. Ka'u is also meeting quarterly as well.
Weren't we meeting every other month? Isn't that what we were sort of doing as a standard?
Yes. Based on previous meeting, the cadence was every other month. It was on a Thursday, typically 5 to 7, and a hybrid option for the meeting format.
Also looking at times that work best.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Also looking at the times that might work best now that we have new members. Also considering staffing, you know, coming out to the meeting.
Right.
And rotating venue.
Yeah.
That's
So
not getting
5 to 7, let's do it earlier in the day. In other words.
But we understand community.
Yeah.
Is it easy to get this facility?
Yes, it is.
It is. It is. It is. Yeah. And weighing the pros and cons, we, you know, if we're pushing for hybrid, you know, all the way through, which I think has worked really nice, and we want to continue that. Spaces that have technology already available for us to kind of just plug and play, but also we're willing, we can bring some of our technology to more rural or remote spaces, bring our own Wi-Fi and hotspots, just so that we make sure we are kind of covering the whole district.
I propose every other month, Thursdays, 4 to 6. So that way community can be here, and it won't ding into your guys' office hours too much. I mean, we have to be available for the community is my
Yeah, support that.
Layla?
Was Hannah gonna testify before we discuss this or after?
She's testifying on items for the next agenda.
Oh, okay.
On the February 27th minutes as well, update on some things that have happened very positively. You all may know, but you may not know.
Yeah, we're in this item though right now.
So whenever, yeah.
That's fine for me too. And this is great that we have this facility.
So we go every other month, starting with February. That's the proposal right now, 4 to 6 on a Thursday.
Sounds like it. Yep.
Somebody's gonna second, I'll second, I guess.
Which Thursday of the month? Sorry, I didn't catch that one.
Well, yeah, I didn't propose any particular one. Anybody have a preference?
No preference.
No, Thursdays are good though.
Thursdays, yeah.
What about you guys, Scott?
I think based on the other ACs
Yeah.
cadence that we kind of mapped out, we have first Thursday.
Puna Watch is on the first Thursday if anyone's involved in community neighborhood watch.
Oh,
that's fine.
Maybe
First Thursdays.
First Thursdays. 4 to 6.
Yep.
So if we're gonna start in February, that would be February 1st.
February 1st.
Okay.
Did somebody second this?
I'll second.
Okay. Because technically we're supposed to make the motion, someone's supposed to second, then we have discussion, right? Like that's the way it works, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. And we had to have the discussion though, because we didn't know what we were proposing. So everybody, yay or nay on first Thursdays. We're going to have standing meetings first Thursdays every other month, starting in February from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and it'll be hybrid.
That's the motion.
What's hybrid?
Meaning you can attend
In person or
online. I might do that.
I am making that motion then to be formalized about it. So all the details are now in the motion. So
can we make an amendment to the motion? That would alternate sites.
Is there another hybrid site that you guys can get?
I mean, we've done the rec center, Pahor Rec Center before, you know, I mean, even like up in Volcano, we've had it in Volcano before at the, I'm just want to make sure that we're spreading ourselves out within the Puna community, not just in KL.
I think the limitation was the hybrid piece of having the, because we talked about this before, of having the online piece and not every place had that ability. That was, you know, during COVID times. I don't know if there's an update to the capacity of those facilities to do a hybrid. Now we all have Zoom on our computers? Is there enough connectivity there that someone can put Zoom up on their laptop and we can do that?
Mountain View School? Is Mountain View School an option?
I think we'd have to see if the school would give us access in the evening.
Going off of our previous hunting in our files of what the previous teams, or previous meetings have been, I have listed Cooper Center in Volcano, Mountain View Library, Kea'au Community Center, Pahoa Community Center, Ainaloa Longhouse, and this room here, the Kamehameha Schools Resource Center. These, besides this room that we're using today, we have not touched base with any of those facilities to see, you know, how even their schedules, how it goes, and something else to consider is we tend to try to shoot for using county facilities so that there's no, we don't have to deal with deposits or fees and stuff. That's,
I mean, the Pahoa Rec Center, and then this one right down the road, the Kea'au Rec Center, that was really good. And then trying to get at least one time up to Volcano. Once or twice.
Preferably not in December or January, because that was not fun.
Yeah.
Not a good time.
and if anybody has any other facilities or venues that they think of after, please feel free to email the team.
Sticking with a county one, ones that we've used and ones that the community knows and it's easy access and parking.
So do we want to amend the motion to say that this is where we have the date, the time, the schedule, but that we're going to pursue location so that we can alternate as much as possible? Okay. I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with that amendment to the motion. Do we need to second the amendment and then go back to the motion?
I think so. I'll second the amendment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can just stick with this site, like this hybrid and this site for the first meeting of 2024, and then we can discuss like where that's going to be throughout the rest of the year. I just want to make sure that we're giving other places like the Rec Center, because we usually have it there to give like the, you know, the lower Puna guys and then the upper Puna guys, and then we got the guys in the middle, right? Like just some options of places to be.
Okay, and then
that's a great idea.
We could just ask if planning folks could check on the possibility for that connectivity for those alternative sites, and report back at the next one in February, report back to us, and then we can plan the schedule for the rest of the year.
Great, we can do that.
That's awesome, thank you. And then I would say we have the motion, we have the second to the amendment. Do we have a second to the motion?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Susie did the second for the amendment.
And what say you guys, A or nay?
Aye.
Okay, sounds good. With that passes. We can move on to actually what is going to be on that agenda for February. And this is where Hannah had some contributions that she wanted to make. And we have notes from Thunderfoot earlier as well. We should, if there's anything that needs to be reported back. So we have some notes from Thunderfoot on possible future agenda items, and Hannah wants to suggest some possible future agenda items. So Hannah, share with us what your thoughts are.
I have a couple of comments about the February 27 minutes, because we made a reference, I can't find it right now though, to Glenwood Park. I'd asked for some kind of assistance or focus on Glenwood Park. I'm happy to report that thanks to Maurice and Sino, Glenwood Park opened on February 28th, and we're organizing Friends of Glenwood Park to try to keep the pavilion there so that the people who use drugs and so forth aren't passed out and hanging out there all the time. So really thanks to county department heads who take initiative in implementing the Puna Community Development Plan.
So Hannah, are you asking for that schedule in February, that we ask for an update from Parks and Rec, or what are you suggesting for that?
Just announcing it. I wasn't asking that to be on your agenda. That was a follow-up from a comment in your previous minutes.
Okay.
I had comments complaining about Glenwood Park. Please get a focus on this. Somehow Maurice did get a focus on it. Maurice and Michelle. So just to update you, in case you don't know, Glenwood Park has beautiful, clean restrooms, a water catchment. And if there's some way, I guess, I'm going to talk about it later in my agenda items, but if you all can be supportive and help us with Friends of Glenwood Park as a part of what's in the Puna Community Development Plan about developing neighborhood centers. So let me get to my agenda because everything's the same, you know, everything, all the emphasis on connectivity and so forth. So my requested agenda items would be, I would like an update on the hub and spoke library plan. You maybe could do that already right now, but I'm also asking that somehow we be given help in seeing what kind of attention is being paid to improving access for people with disabilities. When John Ando was here, whom you mentioned in your minutes, he was very responsive to my comments about the necessity to not just comply with the ADA, but actually to take initiative. So I'm asking you if you can provide the community with information on the hub and spoke library plans, if they're ever going to have a hub and spoke, now that they've connected the library to it, it seems so much more expensive and so much more complicated just to find a site. So I would like an update on that. And then it's a general request that people in Upper Puna, we're now describing a group that I'll define later as Puna Mauka. And we would like you to have agenda items that will help us in developing resilience hubs. And we're asking that the role and scope of your permitted interaction group or your investigative teams perhaps could assist us in identifying assistance, technical help in developing a Puna Mauka resilience hub. I have had expressions of interest now from Kapua Farm Lots, people in Glenwood, people in Eden Rock, for example, to develop a neighborhood watch, a collaborative neighborhood watch, because the individual subdivisions are having a hard time organizing things on their own. There don't seem to be enough people who can take the initiative in reading and writing and serving on groups like this. And we need some kind of assistance. We need to look at what I would like you help in then, because this Puna Mauka Resilience Hub will continue to address implementing the 2008 Puna Community Development Plan, which is referenced in your last 2 minutes, especially the connectivity and the linear parks, which should be community gathering places. Not one single one has been developed. Emergency evacuation. After Lahaina, people in Upper Puna, and someone mentioned concern, I don't know, Franny, if it was you or someone, about the subdivisions that said none, but the subdivisions have only one way in and out. I have brought this topic up recently at Mitch's open house, and then there was a meeting of emergency response and preparedness managers and leaders. And when I asked specifically, pointed out specifically that their programs and their processes did not include the Upper Puna subdivisions that have their community-owned roads. And there's no, does not seem to be there's any desire to go out and look and examine and figure out how serious this problem is. So emergency evacuation, healthcare, always to keep it foremost, improve access for people with disabilities. I never see that in anything I see coming out of the county, where that's the initiative. It seems like it's always a response that when it's required.
Sorry, Patty, just to one, I know I'm not supposed to respond right now, but
let me just, I have one more line, and that is, again, I mentioned it earlier, but a specific agenda item on Glenwood Neighborhood Center, because it seems to me the neighborhood centers have fallen completely off the map. We don't even have yet the volcano and KL and the Hoa village centers formalized after how many years since 2008. So I just like to get the neighborhood center concept, especially because that's the only place it seems to me that we can pull together these disparate substandard subdivisions. And yes.
So Patty Pinto, as you know, they did extensive work on the emergency evacuation routes. And so I'm sort of surprised to hear you, because it was all in Upper Puna also. They did every single subdivision and all the routes, so.
I'm very familiar.
So I know, but so how can you say they haven't given any attention to that?
What Patty has identified is the connectivity's never happened. The connectivity in the Puna Community Development Plan, not one single route has happened. Eden Rock still has only one emergency, whatever. I've never seen anything that anyone is prepared that tells us where to go if we'd have a fire here or whatever there. We never, after the prep fairs, the Puna Region Emergency Preparedness Fairs in 2013 and 2014, where actually went and did mapping and pointing out the nature of the problem. That prepared the foundation for the subcommittee report that went to the council that Patty and Marlene prepared.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry, you had 3 minutes to testify. That 3 minutes is elapsed. This isn't the appropriate time to discuss the substance of what you'd like on the agenda. I'm going to turn it back over to the chair, and the chair and the committee can decide what they want to have on the agenda. It may involve inviting someone else to come in, because I think your MTA mass transit came in and presented, and it may be that if you look at the agenda, not everything can be on it, but that is a decision by the chair.
I think it seems like there was a few things that Hannah wanted, and I don't think that they could all be discussed at February, but also I know that in order to bring, if we wanted to bring in like Mo from Parks and Rec, or we wanted to bring in, I don't know who the new person is that's handling the mass transit. If we wanted to bring
Victor Crandall, he's the new administrator for mass transit. He took the entire mass transit administrative sort of executive team to the Committee on People with Disabilities and presented to that group recently.
Okay. So I don't know if there is still a need then for that to happen within this group. So do other people on the CDP feel that we should ask Victor for an update within this forum?
I can provide an update on PAHOA. I work on the project.
Not right now, though.
Okay.
That's not.
Yeah. It's like
Okay.
we can schedule that for February, which is like, what do we want to schedule for February? Do we want to?
No, that's I can just bring up that the schedule for that project would coincide with presenting in February.
Oh, well then that seems. Yes.
I haven't figured out how to raise my hand, but when it's my turn, can I add something to the agenda for February?
Is that Thunderfoot? Sorry, it's not your name.
Yeah, I got no way to raise my hand. I hadn't figured it out. I'm all new at this. But if I could have a turn to add to the agenda, just let me know when it's my turn.
Should we decide first on this MTA or the project that Jennifer was talking about, having a presentation for February? Is that something that we would want to put on the agenda for February, folks?
Yeah, I think that would address everything. We could find out about the hub and spoke and the library and the emergency routes and the disabilities situation.
Okay, let's ask that we get the appropriate folks in here to speak on that. That would be awesome. I don't know if that's you specifically, Jennifer, because you're part of this group, or it has to be somebody who, from the county, but we'll get somebody to do that. I'll leave that to planning folks. And does that...
It'd be nice for us to meet Victor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. It would be nice. I assume,
let's invite Victor to give us the presentation.
That'd be great.
And someone from Mass Transit.
Yeah.
Not him, somebody.
Does that... Was there other pieces that Hannah brought up that we also want to schedule, if not for February, for the future? Or do we feel like that covers? It doesn't seem like we need an update on the park, but it does, you mentioned Friends of Glenwood Park, and I do feel, Hannah, that maybe in the future, as you guys have specific asks for what you'd like from this committee, it'd probably be good to have you guys on maybe not February's agenda, but a future agenda. So you can present that. So can we put that as a agenda for sometime in 2024 that we ask for a presentation from the Friends of Glenwood Park? Do you guys feel comfortable with that?
That'd be great. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I think that covers the things that Hannah was asking about. Connectivity of roads, that's a big one. And I agree with Hannah, it doesn't ever seem to get anywhere. I haven't heard anything about any new proposals. I mean, railroad seems to be the eternal one that everyone talks about and it never goes anywhere, let alone anything happening in middle to upper Puna. Not sure where to go with this. If we ask for an update, I don't think there's much to be updated on, but where do you guys, what do you guys want to do with it? With connectivity, put a little pressure on
Victor, that would be part of this presentation. If nothing else, we can have the opportunity to express our continued concern about this matter.
Is Victor, if he's mass transit, is that same as road connectivity though? Is that the same person?
No. Oh, okay.
That's just
Unfortunately, I can address it to some extent. Mass transit is not road, but mass transit there is some intersect because they have buses on your roads, and there are quite a few homeowners associations where they're struggling with having buses. So they look at it, and there's a number of other things happening right now with road access. He can certainly probably share what mass transit's intersect is.
Okay, let's start there. And then after we have that presentation, we'll talk about some other aspects of roads then. That would be, I think, reasonable. And then I think that covers the points that Hannah brought up. And Thunderfoot, you had brought up some issues as well. Did you have a specific suggestion that you wanted to have for the February meeting? Or
yes, Glenwood is its own town and we don't have a zip code. When zip codes were issued by the United States Post Office, we stopped receiving our mail at Hirano store and we got left in limbo. So some people use, Mountain View for their zip code. Some people use, Volcano. And then if you Google, it puts us in Pahoa. So we have a hard time with delivery services, emergency services, because we don't have our own zip code. I've approached the post office about it, went all the way up to the Postmaster General. They refused to do anything about it. The only other people that have the authority to do anything about it is the county, and perhaps this action committee could do something about getting Glenwood a zip code.
I do not know if that's possible. I don't know if anybody has any. I assume we start with writing a letter to the post office. Layla, you have some thoughts?
So yeah, when you get a piece of property that doesn't have a physical address on, the planning department is the one that issues a physical address. So they would be part of it, maybe. I would assume somewhere in planning would be a part of supporting that, because they are the ones that issue you your new address.
Doesn't seem like they would be able to issue a new zip code because it only goes with the post office.
No, but the county, when I researched it, the county has the power to approach the post office, because there's two ways to get a zip code or to redraw the boundaries. One, a person like myself, anybody that uses the system, can write the post office and ask for it to change. The other way is for the county, the municipality, to approach the post office and request it. And since they weren't listening to 800 signature petition, maybe they'll listen to the county.
I'm going to throw that on planning as well. Do you guys know who is at Bethany, or who can we talk to or get some information in planning about that? Getting that zip code. That's kind of a big deal for folks who live up there.
Yeah, I think if we've got it noted and this is something we can ask around to see if we can give an update by February.
It would probably be the admin permits division.
Yeah.
Long range wouldn't.
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be Bethany, but it would be one of the other divisions, but we can reach out and see if we can get someone on that.
It'd be great if we could have that for February. It would be great if we could have that for February, or if not, then as soon after that as possible.
In the future, yeah. So the other couple of things that I have concerns with are the connectivity. I know that's going to be on the agenda, but as it's being discussed, you need to be well aware of the constitutional issues and also misappropriation of county funds, because you cannot misappropriate any public funds to benefit private property. And the bottom road was opened up. It is opened. I don't understand why Hannah doesn't know it's open. I've been down there. I took pictures. They caused property damage. They used lava and COVID money to open it up. I have Matt Connolly Kleinfelder admitting to it. And now he doesn't want to talk to me because he realized that they misappropriated government public funds to open up a private road. These are private roads, and I think there's a lot of confusion between public and private roads.
Hey, I'm going to stop right now, Thunderfoot. I'm really sorry. It's not on the agenda. The only question for the committee, and it's a committee discussion, is if they want to have it on the agenda.
I was just saying, Thunderfoot, when you say they, are you talking about county roads? Who is they that did this?
I'm talking about well, it's state and county laws. If you look at the definitions of street and no,
I just want to clarify. You said
government in general.
They cleared.
Okay, the county.
So
that the county and the state are working together to try to gain control of our private roads. So the connectivity is part of that. They're trying to gain control of the roads without eminent domain. There are 7 bills. They want us to surrender our roads. So the connectivity is part of that. And that's when you're having that discussion about connectivity, when you put it on the agenda, I'm just saying that needs to be addressed. And also, none of these community organizations or homeowners associations, and Calvin Chang of the judiciary put out an opinion that they're not, and that they're not homeowners associations, we're not condominium regimes, we're agricultural lands, and people need to stop.
Hold on, we're going into a separate thing. So the issue was the road, and that's
it's connected.
You were saying that someone has done road clearing, and that you think that potentially that some of the money was used from the recovery. And we've had a lot of discussions about the recovery money, and I had not heard of that being something that was included in the recovery money. So
it's in a newsletter.
So
it's in a newsletter.
It's in a newsletter.
The Fern Forest Community Association's newsletter said that they spent that money to open up the road. So there's a couple of subjects here, because the roads and the community organizations, which are being seen by the county as HOAs when they're not, they've been told by the state that they're not, they have no power to control our roads. Just like Hannah doesn't speak for everybody in Fern Forest. Not everybody wants connectivity. So, and a lot of people in the—
Hold on, Thunderfoot, Layla has her hand up. I just want to deal with this one issue before we move on, if we're going to put this on.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm excited. I'm sorry.
I know. You get excited.
You're listening. You're listening. I'm so excited.
Layla, go ahead.
I just want to be clear. What is the specific ask? Like it's the connectivity to the specific road. Because right now we're going way off, like into explanation, and it just
That's
needs
kind
to
of
be
what I'm trying to.
Yeah, what is
your question? Do you need clarity on what's going on with that road in Fern Forest, at that bottom road?
Okay. There's a bottom road, as we call it, end road, and it has been bulldozed open to connect to another private road, so that you can now reach Eden Rock from there. So before, the community had blocked that off. People didn't want it open. But the county came in with their bulldozer at the behest of the connectivity program and bulldozed it open under the connectivity program using the $11 million lava and COVID disaster relief money. And it was put in a newsletter by the Fern Forest Community Association. I went down there and I took pictures. It is open.
Okay, and I want to be clear, because when you talk about Kilauea and COVID monies, that I don't know that those two are attached. Like if they were, we were not told, because we do sit on the Kilauea recovery resilience capacity areas. And I have not heard of COVID monies being attached to killer recovery monies. So what I feel like right now is we're going a little too far, that if she could come back with a specific request, maybe email the request to us about what to be on the agenda, because the explanation wants to keep going. And I think that can be a question amongst the action committee members in a specific email thread. Because I know, and I can hear your passion and your, what do you call, and what you want to share, but I feel like, what do you call, we don't really understand what the specific ask is. I mean,
the specific
about the road
thing is,
it's
about
you know something. Can we have her email? This is too much already.
Basically, I'm talking about misappropriation of funds. Whenever you're doing, you know, anything with connectivity or anything that your folks are doing, I want you to be aware that misappropriated funds are happening. So you just want to be aware of that. And then I gave that opening of the road as an example. I'm not saying that the COVID and lava disaster relief money were related. I'm saying that's what Fern Forest Community Association put in a newsletter. That's what they're telling the community happened.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt again. If it's not related to the development plan or the Kona development plan, it's outside the scope of what this committee can review, but I turn it back over to the chair.
Okay,
right. I think that we don't review funds, Thunderfoot. Like, that is not a role of this committee. We don't have any power to audit or review funds. We can ask various departments from the county, and even to some extent we've asked for state officials to come and give us updates or give us explanations. Those are updates and explanations that we have discussions with them, but we also have to take their word, you know, that that's how they're spending the funding. If there was a case of misappropriation of funds, that would not be, this committee would not be the right place to determine if that's happening. None of us are auditors, we're community volunteers. Sorry about the cat. Telling you guys.
Yeah, I don't exactly understand, you know, what, you know, if you guys, you know, had release any fundings for certain activities, because, you know, you're called an action committee. So
no, we try to guide volunteer actions in the community and also provide feedback to the county, try to be a conduit with the county and the concerns of the community, but we have no actual power to do anything with funds. We have no funds. But if there was a question about that particular, the road opening or who did that or what funded it, that could be something we could ask the county to provide information about, right? We could ask them to come to this committee and say, hey, you know, what was the decision-making process here? And also, like, what monies were used? We can ask for that. They don't have to give it to us, but we can ask for it. Right. So that's
you do make recommendations. So it's all kind of tied in that, you know, this connectivity program, you guys are related to it, but is it only Kona, as she was saying, or is it all of Big Island?
Misspoke. I think she has to do this with all of the different groups, and she just misspoke. It's Puna. We're just
okay. Yeah. So it is related, because, you know, reporting back to the county and saying, you know, look, you guys can't be opening up private property with public funds. You can't be doing that, you know, and so that's a great concern.
So what we can ask for, and I think that this does tie in with what Hannah was asking for as well. And I'm not really sure if that's county roads or who exactly in the county, but we can ask for an update on connectivity and roads that are being planned to be opened up or that are being opened up, and we can start with that. So if we could ask planning to schedule that for 2024 to have someone come in to speak on that, specifically roads being opened up in the subdivisions and how that process is going. And I don't want to make any specific like accusations of how is this happening, but just if we could get an update on that, it's knowledgeable to come and speak about that. I would like to, I think that would be helpful for everybody to really understand. And again, going back to connectivity, which is always a concern in Puna and everyone's always asking about it. So if I would propose that we put that on an agenda for 2024. I don't know that we could get that by February, but it'd be great to have that in 2024. Do folks feel comfortable with that?
The sooner the better, to hear the information. And what are they planning? Do they have anything under their, you know, in 6-month plan. You know, what is the county road, what do you call it? Public Works.
Yes, there you go. Yes, that would be great if we could get that. So I'm putting a lot on the agenda for the planning folks to line up lots of
May I
speed.
make a one sentence comment about that? About what the county is planning, what they reported they were planning, what Mitch Ross said they were planning. Okay.
So yeah, Hannah, I think we're just gonna put this on the agenda for us to discuss this at a future meeting, because I think otherwise this discussion is just gonna go on, and it's not the forum for it yet. So we're gonna move on, and I think that sounds like we've got a very full agenda being planned for at least February and leading into some other some other months. I want to ask the CDP folks, do you have agenda items that you want to see put on this? Because we're getting that great feedback from the community, but we ourselves also have interest. So Layla, go ahead. You had something.
I do. I'd like someone from our killer recovery to give us an update on the different projects that are occurring for this next February meeting. And then if we can do the April meeting with the general plan update. I know that's like, because we're getting full with everybody else's requests, but I think it's really a good thing we have an update in February about our killer recovery as well. From someone from, and I can ask them, or we can ask them, we got them, you know, we'll be meeting. So if they can just report to us what's happening, the latest updates.
Well, Zoe's on, so Zoe could.
Yeah, Zoe, please.
And I like the suggestion for the general plan also.
That's still April though. Wait till April.
Yeah,
we also have the ability, and Susanna can correct me here, but we have the ability with enough time to call a special meeting. So if we wanted to have a special meeting that is outside of that every 2 months schedule, that it's just about recovery, the Puna recovery, because that does tend to be quite intensive. And in the past, it's, you know, those discussions have gone hours. So like, we also could consider, rather than trying to squish that into like that particular project, because it is so huge and affects so many people, we could consider a March meeting or something that is special to Puna recovery, and then holding that as if that would, you know, if that would work.
I want to ask a question of the planning, long range planning. Are the other action committees asking for a general plan update? Like we've done one before with all of our action committees, and are we still planning on having like the full action committees island-wide come together like sometime throughout the year?
Right now we don't have any joint AC meetings scheduled or planned. But in terms of the GP updates, yeah, there's been a couple other ACs that have requested a general plan update at their meetings. Yeah, that's definitely something that can be requested.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we just have a full, what do you call it, meeting with all the action committees, like, and that can be like maybe the focus is the GP update, instead of like doing individuals here and there and them having to do like 5 different ones, right? Like, because it is long. That is a long meeting.
Maybe something that would be, I know something that they've been asking, Bethany is the one that kind of is in charge of that, that she's requesting is kind of like, what are the specific, or are there any like focus areas that you guys are questioning, or
well, what we asked for before was to in numerous venues was to have like some sort of a cheat sheet that says these are the proposed changes, because it's really hard for us to go through that huge document and understand, be able to call out what the changes are. So I mean, I can't even really answer that because I don't know what the.
So I guess the other thing to keep in mind is the comment period closes when, Janice?
Period closes on March 1st.
So maybe it would be to have it before
the comment.
Yeah. And I think the reasons why we've been having individual or as by request for the action committee meetings, these general plan presentations, is to tailor it to what that community or that region is really interested in, because we've gotten feedback. We've given broad presentations about the general plan update, and it sometimes doesn't resonate with certain people because it's just very broad. So to have these more tailored meetings would help focus on like what do you all really care about, that Bethany
can kind of point out. But yeah, that's sort of why we.
Because it is a large document and there were a lot of changes, in
Yeah.
terms, just the structure of it. So it's kind of hard to say, well, page 5 on the old plan or page 5
It's
on
a
the, it just doesn't
comprehensive,
really work like,
yeah.
so it's, yeah. Just,
Is it ever published in the newspaper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, has it been?
The meetings, the
The
feedback,
notices, yeah.
notices
The
for
general
public
plan.
comment. Yeah,
And I believe they have copies
There's
in
a
the
link.
libraries and it's online.
It's online.
It's an online, an interactive, feedback way.
Leila, you had a comment?
I do, because we've been working on these, giving feedback for this general plan for years, like 6 years or so. And we've spent like many meetings with chart paper everywhere and and Bethany was at these meetings, right? I want to know if any of our input that we've been working on from all these previous, I want to say even 7 years ago. It's been a long time. We've been working, giving feedback on this general plan from specifically the Puna Action Committee. That's what I'd like to know. If any of our comments, all these different meetings we've had about this general plan have been incorporated into this document. Because it is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big part of the revision process has been taking a lot of that feedback from all the ACs. And currently we've been hearing a lot of the concerns from the community about how those changes were implemented or integrated. So we are thinking through that. It's a really big task. So we're trying to figure out the best way to do that. To show kind of like how these changes, where they are in the draft.
Is it searchable?
The PDF of the general
Keyword search.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Could that happen for February?
You mean have that?
The
work
presentation,
done?
the presentation
Could
for
talk
us.
to Bethany about,
Yeah.
and getting her to come to the meeting and do a Q&A also.
Because I think given that the comment period is March, I think
March 1st,
this
that's
takes
1
a
month.
priority.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that would shuffle anything else that we were talking about. I think that one would shuffle it. If it's a March 1st deadline, it would be priority.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I'd like to suggest that we have that as like one of our top priorities, because what do you call it? If it's due in March, please, thank you.
Yeah, let's make it number 1. That's our number 1 preference for February.
But I can see with the GP update that there might be those focus areas for Bethany, like the connectivity might be a big one, to see if there's anything within the GP that addresses that. I don't know if the hub and spoke with the plans and, with the transit hub and everything like that might be something in there. So maybe we can knock like 5 birds with 1 stone with that GP update.
Yeah, those are all things that are mentioned in this current plan. So,
Perfect.
yeah, there's a lot of things that even carried over from 2005, but so it's a very comprehensive, that's why there's no like red line to see what language has changed. It's impossible because it's a vast change.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm tired of seeing so many state bills that are just like, we're just going to cross out these words and put in these words. It's like, no, overhaul it. The whole thing needs to be tossed out. So I actually think that's good news. But yeah, if we could get that, that would be great. And then we'll also go into these other discussions about things like connectivity and hub and spoke and all with a little bit more, I think, overview, bigger picture, if we have that basis from Bethany, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? I feel like I don't want to talk about any more potential agenda items because we already made a lot and we're probably good for a while. But if anybody else has anything that's really burning that they're like, no, we gotta get this one in there too. Go ahead and share. Everybody okay for now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, where are we? Ay, Dios.
I just want to thank everyone for their time and patience and consideration, and I really got a lot out of this meeting.
Oh, glad to hear it, Thunderfoot. Thanks for being here. We know you're very passionate, so we appreciate that. But yeah, step by step.
All you guys' effort too, because you guys are equally passionate, and I really enjoyed meeting all of you.
Same.
And I look look forward to seeing you guys in February. And if we don't get to the other agenda stuff, that's perfectly understandable. There's a March deadline happening.
Yeah, right. And we definitely have our list now for our priorities for the beginning of 2024. But with that, we want to get as much out to the public so they can make comments on that general plan by March 1st. So we will definitely have to prioritize that. Okay, with that, oh my gosh, it says the next thing on the agenda is adjournment. How do we feel about that?
That's awesome.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You didn't even let me say the time. We moved to close the meeting at 5:31. Okay.
Glad to see everyone. It's nice to have our own action committee meeting again. And what do you call it? I look forward to seeing you in February.
Yeah.
Same here.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Barney. Mahalo.
Guys, bye.
So we should probably try to read the general plan before the next meeting.